Hello and welcome to Microsoft Word Tips and Tricks, Styles, Style Sets, and Style Themes. In this video today, we will be demonstrating how to use styles, style sets, and style themes. And it's a very important features. Those are very important features that you can use if you have some basic understanding of formatting. This will make this video make a lot more sense. So we're hopeful that you gain a lot of information from this video today and learn how to employ styles, style sets, and style themes. So first off, we're going to talk about formatting in general. And we have here this document called the Quotes from Famous Authors, one that we use in our class. And if we look down here at the status bar, we'll see that it's 4 pages long. It has 1,484 words. And so we can see that there's some formatting going on here. We have the title here centered in the middle. Everything else is pretty much left justified. Where we have our quotes, we have a 1/2-inch indent, trying to make those different quotes from various books stand out. Well, let's take a quick look at this. So here we have the name William Cuthbert Faulkner. It's one of the 4 authors in this particular document. And then the next line, we have biographical information, kind of like a title, if you will, of this next section. And the biographical information is actually written out here. This one particular author talks about that he's a Nobel Prize laureate, where he's from, that he's written novels, stories, a play, and screenplays, and all of that. And you can see that there has been some formatting here. I have both, I'll go ahead and click on it right here. See my cursors there. We can see that both bold and italics is in play, just to make that stand out a little bit more. Whereas up here, where it says William Faulkner, you can see that it's just a normal font. All right, and then right below the author and the biographical information, we have a quote from a couple of different books. The first one is The Sound of the Fury, 1929, and there's one quote, another one, and a few more. And then quotes from As I Lay Dying from 1930, a few more there. And then a third book, Absalom, Absalom, and then a few more quotes. So again, this information about these various authors comes with the author's name on one line, and then biographical information is made both bold and italic to stand out a little bit. And then the various quotes that are listed here are indented 1/2 inch. And so if we go down to the next author, Ernest Miller Hemingway, we can see it's laid out the same way. There's the author's name, followed by biographical information. And again, if I click my cursor here, we'll see that that biographical information is both bold and italicized to make it stand out. And then in this particular author, we have quotes from The Sun Also Rises, as well as The Old Man and the Sea. And those actual quotes are indented 1/2 inch. We can see that up here on our ruler. And so the third author is Alexander Dumas. Then again, the title of like a header, if you will, biographical information, and then a little bit of information about that author, and then quotes from various books. In this case, The Count of Monte Cristo. There's a few of my favorite quotes, and then The Three Musketeers, and there's only 2 books in this one. And then Victor Marie Hugo is the last author that I have, and you can see again, biographical information is both bold and italicized, so that's pretty cool. And then we see Les Mis is the only book that I'm actually drawing quotes from, one of the famous books that Victor Hugo wrote. And there it is, and it takes up at least down to the beginning of a 4th page. So very basic formatting that's been done, nothing terribly sophisticated or advanced. But we're going to be talking about styles today and just how powerful the styles are. So first, let's talk about styles. So here we are in the Home tab ribbon. We're in past the font group and the paragraph group down here to the styles group. And by simply putting our cursor here in William Cuthbert Faulkner's first name, we can go over and use one of those great features of Microsoft Word, which is the preview feature, by simply hovering over something. So if I hover over emphasis, which is the name of one style, you can see that down where the author's name is, now William is italicized, and it's leaning over to the right. So again, here's what it is normal. And if I just take a preview of this style, we'll see that the name William is leaning over to the right. And then what's interesting is it's only affecting this style emphasis is only affecting the first name William. If I hover over heading 1, it actually affects the entire line. And so as we can see, it's made the text larger, it's made it blue. It looks like a different font that we've had before. And that's a heading 1. And if we go to heading 2, it's a little bit smaller, also blue. Heading 3, smaller still. And heading 4 looks about the same size, but it's leaning to the right and perhaps is no longer bold. So what is a style? A style is a set of formatting features. It could be 3 formatting features, or it could be 50. There are many different formattings you can do, from alignment to spacing before and after, to the font size, the color, all of those different things, where it's aligned in the center of the page, left justified like the author is right now, or center justified like we have the title right here. Those are all formatting features, and these styles build them into each particular style has many different formatting features, and we'll show you what those are in just a moment. But for right now, by simply having the cursor on William, we can show that each style, in this case heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, makes it look different. All right, and there are more than just the headings or the styles that we see here. If we do this little drop down button here, the more button, then we can see there's several more. And what's interesting is with our cursor down here in William, there's a box around normal. That's because there is no style being implemented. It's just normal. Or stated differently, there's no formatting features involved. Unlike over here, we have the bold and italic. Up here, there's nothing. That's why it says normal. So let's go back to where we started. Emphasis, you can see it's italicized. It's leaning to the right. Heading 1 changes the entire line. That's interesting. Heading 2, a little bit smaller. Heading 4. And there's many of them. Here's strong, so now it's bold, kind of like the biographical information. Subtitle looks different still. Title looks quite a bit different, quite large. And so each one of these has a different purpose. And here's intense quote. It's got a blue line above it and a blue line below it. It's center justified. There's a whole bunch of things going on. And so by just using our preview here, we can see that these standard styles that come by default with Microsoft Word, when you open it up, take it out of the box, or use your computer for the first time, here they are. These are all the normal ones. I will tell you that you can create your own. And we're not going to cover that in this video, but here's where you can start to do that by creating your own styles. And I'll probably show you an example of this at the end. So again, we're dealing with styles, style sets, and style themes today. And we do consider this more advanced. So you have to be somewhat familiar with formatting in general, I would imagine, to get the most out of this video. But once you start to understand styles and style sets and style themes, you can make a simple document like this stand out and look very professional in a very short amount of time. So let's go ahead and click here just to get rid of that drop-down menu. And what we want to do is open up our styles in its own window pane over here to the right. So how do you do that? Whenever you see a group like paragraph group, font group, and you click this little button at the bottom right, it opens up in this case, a styles pane. If I hover over it, it talks about what's there. Let's go ahead and click on it. And there it is. So this is the styles pane. And because our cursor's here where it says William, and that's normal, we see the box around the normal. And so we can actually scroll up here. I'm just going to roll my mouse wheel to get back to the very beginning. Emphasis was the first one we saw, followed by heading 1, 2, and 3, and so on and so forth. So let's take a look at that. Heading 1, if I hover over it, it's going to give us this little readout of what's in there. So heading 1, we saw that it was blue and it looked different and all of that. And this is the font information, 16 point, accent 1, and all of that, which may or may not make sense to you if you're not familiar with all those formatting features. But that's what's in heading 1, as well as the paragraph. There's spacing. There's 12 points before. It talks about the line and page breaks. And most importantly, for what we're doing today, heading 1 is an outline level 1. So be thinking about when you were writing a report in school and you had to have the main idea and then you had subtopics. And so you would like indent a little bit for the subtopics because you'd know they'd be part of the topic above it. Well, that's kind of what outline level is. And we'll see that in full display here in just a moment. And then it talks about the style, how it's linked and how it's all set up or whatever. All the information for heading 1. So again, heading 1 style is made up of multiple format features, and there they are. So since our cursor's right here on William, I'm going to go ahead and just click on heading 1. And now it looks like heading 1. So when we saw before that when we clicked emphasis, or we hovered over emphasis right up here, it just changed the first one. All right. So just know the reason that that's happening is because of these symbols here. If you see just the letter A at the end, it's dealing with text or just a single word. If you see the backwards paragraph sign as well as an A, then it's dealing with the entire paragraph. And even though William Cuthbert Faulkner doesn't look like a whole paragraph, I can see by using the show hide button up here that in fact, when I type this out, I hit the enter key or the return key, and then drop down to the next line. And after typing out biographical information, I again hit the enter key. And so biographical information, William Cuthbert Faulkner with the dates there, all that's considered like a paragraph. Or as you can see here, heading 1 deals with the entire paragraph. So I don't have to select all of this. I just have to have my cursor anywhere in there, and it's going to affect all of it. So that's why heading 1 did that. Let's go ahead and deselect that so it cleans it up a little bit. All right, so in our example here, we're going to make all of the authors a heading 1. And then biographical information, that title, if you will, we're going to make that a heading 2. So we just simply go over there and click on it. And then the quotes, we're going to make a heading 3. So right now it's normal. We go over here and we say heading 3. You see it's a little bit different. And so real quickly, we can see that that we are changing the way this looks. The formatting is now changing very quickly by using these styles. And we have a little styles pane open up here, so it makes it a lot easier. I'm going to shrink that down a little bit so it's not taking up so much space. And then I'm going to go down again to the next quote, and I just click on it, and I say that's a heading 3. So let's go back again. The author is a heading 1. The biographical information header is a heading 2. And then each of the quotes is a heading 3 so that they stand out. And we'll see in just a minute how that will make such a significant difference. All right, so for continuing to follow this outline, if you will, we can go down to the next author, which is Ernest Hemingway. I'm just going to put my cursor there. And if you remember, we made the authors a heading 1. And then biographical information, we made a heading 2. And then, of course, all of the quotes, we made a heading 3. And so I'm going to click on that real quick and make those a heading 3. And then we get down to Alexander Dumas. Now, before I continue, I want to point something out that something that works hand in hand with styles is something called the navigation pane. And we're going to see how that works. So how do you get to the navigation pane? We're on the Home tab ribbon right now. And if you go all the way down to the View tab ribbon, then you go to the Show group, and it says Navigation pane. And by the way, if you don't see your ruler and you wish to see it, this is where you check the box to see the ruler. If you don't want to see the ruler, you just deselect it like that, and as you can see, there's no ruler there. For me, I prefer to have the ruler showing, and so once you turn it on, it stays on until you turn it off again. And that would be the same with the navigation pane. So I'm going to turn that on. And kind of like the styles over here, it opened up on the right. Navigation always opens up on the left. And I'm going to do what you can often do in most window environments. You get between the two sections, in this case, the document body and the navigation pane, and you get just to the right spot, and you get a left-right arrow. You left click and drag, and you can move it over a little bit to give yourself a little bit more room. But let's take a look at this, the navigation pane. It's set on headings right now. If you remember, we're using headings 1, 2, and 3. And there they are with their outline levels. So there's a heading 1, just like Ernest Miller down here is a heading 1. Those are the authors. Biographical informations are heading 2, so they're indented a little ½ inch. And then the quotes are indented another half again. And so you can see that those outline levels we talked about are in play right here. In fact, let's look again. So if we look at heading 1 and I hover over it, we can see that down here it says outline level 1. If I go to heading 2, and I jump down here, it says outline level 2. Then of course heading 3, where we are right now, if I jump down there, it says outline level 3. Or stated differently, the outline level 1 is right here in the prime position. The second position is moved over, indented one spot. And then the third outline level, or in this case heading 3, is indented again. And so if we were to do a heading 4 somewhere, it would be indented one more time. So that's the outline levels. That's how this is working. And when we get to how to use or how to make a quick table of contents, we're also using this exact same thing. So let's continue. We stopped right there, and we go down to Alexander Dumas, and we don't see that over here on our navigation page yet, because right now Alexander Dumas is normal. But the second we make it a heading 1, like the other authors, we see that it shows up here. So let's continue. Here's a biographical information. That's a heading 2. And then we go to the quote, in this case, the Count of Monte Cristo. That's a heading 3. And we start to see our outline setting up exactly like we have the other ones. Go down to the next one, and we make this a heading 3. Now it's a little blue, and we can see it's outlining well. And our last author here is Victor Marie Hugo. Make Victor a heading 1, biographical information, a heading 2, and the quotes a heading 3. And so now we see the way that this is laid out here in our navigation page using the styles. And we see some very quick changes that all of the authors are now blue, a little bit larger for the heading 1 and the heading 2, and the heading 2 is a little bit larger than the heading 3. So we see those basic differences, and that's the only real formatting we've done so far. But we're setting ourselves up to do some amazing things very quickly. All right, so that's how basically we use styles. What are styles? Styles are groups of formatting features. In the case of the heading 3, we can see all of those different formatting features on the paragraph, on the font, all of the different things that are being utilized in our tools, if you will, features from Microsoft Word. All right, that's great. So what can we do with this now? Please come back and watch our navigation page, our navigation pane video that we're going to have. We'll show you about some of the tricks you can do with this navigation pane. But for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Home tab ribbon. And since we've already used our styles and all of that, now we're going to get to something called style sets. And how do we get to that? We go to the design page. All right. And so this first group here called the document formatting, we see all of these different style sets. Again, we've only been using the styles so far. So what's a style set? Well, that kind of kicks it up a notch. So let's go up here to the top. And if you come to our navigation pane video training, you'll see that you could just click on that. It takes you right back up to the top. That's pretty slick. So here we are with our author. We got our cursor there. And right now we're just in the very basic one. The document style set is just standard basic. It's basically just the styles. But as you know, in Microsoft Word, you can hover over things and see how it changes. So this one is called basic or elegant. We see that little screen tip popping up there. And so when we hover over it, we can see that William Faulkner's name has changed a little bit. It's gotten bigger. It's a little bit more blue. So that is the style set called basic. And of course, here's the next one. It's called basic simple. And as you can see, as I start to hover over these style sets are changing. Not only the heading 1s, 2s, and 3s, it's changing just about everything that we see. So if I were to click on this and set it, you would see that all the quotes now are spaced out a little bit differently. You can see the distance between the biographical information and the quotes are different right now. And so each one of these we can hover over, and the style set's going to be totally different. Sometimes it makes in this case, the author's name all in upper caps, all in capital letters. That's interesting. Sometimes it puts a line underneath it and changes it to this little numbered format, 1, 1.1, 1.1.1, and so on. Very interesting. And so there's all of these different options here. And if we want to, we can go to this little more button, and we can see that there's quite a few. So we've kind of sampled over all of these. The one that we use in our class and that we'll use here today is called shaded. And so I'm going to go ahead and select that. But before I do, I want you to consider where we are. Here we are. We see the heading 1s. And by the way, make sure your style pane window has this box checked right here, show preview, because if it doesn't, it just has the names of it and you don't get to see what they really look like. You can't really tell the difference between heading 1, 2, and 3 and so on. But if you hit the preview button, then it kind of shows us it's bluer and bigger, and heading 2 is a little bit smaller, heading 3 is a little bit smaller still, heading 4 is indented, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and select this one down here, this style set called shaded, and watch what happens to our styles window pane over on the right when I do that. Aha! Not only has it changed all of the heading 1s, now it has this blue banner behind it, and heading 2s, and also the heading 3s now has this line above it, and the spacing here is all different. None of this has changed. It's all exactly the same, but our document looks vastly different, and every author has its own little section here with the darker banner for the author's name, and a heading 2 is a little bit lighter color, and so on and so forth. And we can see the previews over here of how it looks. So that style set called shaded has just changed all of the styles that we have over here to match it. So that's the difference between a style and a style set. And so just to go back, if I do my undo button here, let's see if it takes us back. There we are. So this was before we started employing any style sets. We just had the styles. We used heading 1, 2, and 3, just like that. And if I do my redo there, it takes us back to where we were. All right, so that's style sets, where it's taking those styles and adding more features to it. The last part that we're going to talk about today is style themes. And by the way, as we're going through this, if we want to, you can see we have all these other options here. Right now we're doing these different color blues. Could we change that if we wanted to? You bet. We could change it to a whole bunch of different colors that are available to us here, and we could preview them just by simply hovering over it. You'll notice the banners are still there. That's the particular style set, but we can then customize it even further by selecting a different color. And that was just by simply clicking on this little more button there. What about fonts? The same thing. Certainly the fonts change as we pick particular style sets, but we can also go in and change again to different ones and kind of scroll through them all and see what they're going to look like. But for our purposes, we're just going to keep it the basic style set, in this case, shaded. All right, so now that we have employed the various styles, headings 1, 2, and 3, and then we went and on the Design tab ribbon, we went and selected the style set called shaded. And so that's changed the way that it's spaced out, the different colors that are there. We've seen that we can change various colors if we want, make some customizations there. But the next thing that we can do very quickly is to use the feature on the Design tab ribbon called Style Themes. And so if we click on this More button here, we see that there's several different options that are available to us. And what these are variations of the style set, in this case shaded, that we selected before. The style theme is simply adding a few more formatting features or altering the ones that we've already selected just to give us a few more options. So again, using the wonderful feature in Microsoft Word, the preview, we just simply hover over it and we can start to see some of the other variations or options that are available to us. In this case, there's the gallery, there's integral. You can see that the fonts are a little bit different, the spacing is a little bit different, and we have all of these different ones that we can quickly take a look at and make a decision as to whether or not that's what we'd like to change it to. And so I'm going to go ahead and roll my mouse wheel just to get down to the bottom ones. And in our class, we actually use this one here called Save On. I like to think of it as being a little bit more elaborate than Save On, so we'll call it Savon. And as you can see, it just by hovering over it, and I'll move away from hovering over it, we can see that it looks quite a bit different than just the regular style set shaded. So again, here's our style set shaded. I haven't selected any of these yet. And here's how the style set shaded has changed the individual styles to having heading 1 has the blue banner behind it, heading 2 has the lighter colored banner behind it, and so on and so forth. Watch what happens when I select Save On here. So I simply click on it, and now it has again changed our styles so that all of the heading 1s now have all of these features that you see here. Kind of hard to swing down there real fast. All right, so as we can see here, just by simply taking our basic document and then assigning heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3s, we were then able to go into, on the Design tab ribbon, to the Style Set Shaded, and then change the way that all of those styles look, so that they have a banner behind the heading 1, heading 2, and then a line above the various quotes that we see down here, and that continues for each of the authors. And then of course we finished it up by going on the design tab ribbon to the themes, and we simply selected one of the various things. We selected the Savon option there, and so very quickly we've made this look drastically different, quite a bit more professional, with hundreds if not thousands of different variations that we could do. And so there is the advantage of using styles, style sets, and style themes. And it's a wonderful way to make our documents look professional very quickly. All right, so at this point, I will just tell you that you can actually create your own styles, your custom styles. Not only can you select the style sets and style themes and change the different styles that you have here, you can actually create your very own. And in this video, we're not going to actually cover that, but I am going to show you a sample of how that works in what we do in the IT training program when we're creating our handbook. So I'm just going to open this up. Here is a handbook from a couple of years back, happens to be the Advanced Microsoft Word one. And as you can see, it's laid out in a pretty basic format. In fact, all of the different training books that you see coming from the IT department will have different headers and footers that look the same, table of contents, so on and so forth. And I'll scroll down here a little bit, and we'll see that they all pretty much look the same and have just a kind of a very basic general layout. And if we use the navigation pane over here, we can see that the heading 1s look like this. And here's what a heading 1 is. It happens to be lined up in the middle of the page. Here's a heading 2. You can see it's a heading 2 over here because the box is around it. It simply looks like this. And then we get down to like a heading 3. Of course, the styles here, very basic, but our heading 4s are quite different. And so if I just click on here and go down to exercise 2.0, you can see that the heading 4 is not only written out that way, but it has this box around it with a black border, with a gray border inside that, and then a gray field, and everything is all kind of centered in there. And so if you look at all of the exercises that we have, they all look exactly the same. And so why do we have these custom styles to use for there, to create things more quickly? As we see over here, there's many more custom styles that I have set up than comes with Microsoft Word by default. And all of these are to make our jobs more easy, trying to put together, in this case, a plus or minus 100-page handbook. And so that's why we set up the headings and all that this way. So here's our heading 4 for all of our different exercises that we have. And so if I were typing this out, this handbook right now, it would look like this. And I'm going to change this to normal. I would simply type out exercise 2.2, then I would double space it, how to use style themes. And then I would go over here and I would click heading 4. And instantly it changes it to all of the formatting features, in this case of heading 4. It still has the outline level 4 in it, just like you would find in the other headings, but it has a lot more information, and there are a lot more formatting features that are making this very much a custom heading, and so, or custom style in this case. And so by creating your own custom styles, you can very quickly be able to create a handbook, in this case, that all look very uniform and the same, whether you're doing a Power School or any one of the Power School handbooks or whatever are gonna look very much the same. And so that's the advantage of being able to create your own styles. And so as you can see over here, every heading 1 looks like that. Every heading 2 looks like this. A heading 3 looks like, actually that's a heading 4. The exercises all look exactly the same. And that's because we have set up all of the different styles to do that. And so like this one here, if I click on this numbered one here, we'll see that this is listed by numbers, 6-point spacing. And if I make this a little wider so I can see more about it, it's left justified 0.25. There's all the information about it right there. Talks about how it's set up so that it takes up the right amount of space on the page. But it's all in a style, which is nothing more than a bunch of different formatting features put together in one click to make it different. So we saw we did that with here. We'll do that again. Go down to normal. Simply just type it out, exercise 4.0, how to build a table of contents. Go down here and click on this particular style, which happens to be called heading 4, and it instantly changes it to that. So there's just a little preview on how to make your job easier with custom styles that you can in fact set up, and that will be another video. So that's just a little teaser. So thank you so much for coming today to learn about Microsoft Word tips and tricks. In this case, we learned more about styles, style sets, and style themes, and I hope you can start to use those in your documents to make very professional documents with whatever department or school that you work for. So thank you so much for coming to learn with us today.